4 rounds have already come and gone this season. We race into round 5 following an off week. Last week, right in the middle of June. Father's Day has happened. We're into summer now. In fact, I think officially tomorrow is the solstice. We are into summer short track racing here on a Tuesday evening at Southern National Motorsports Park. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and we have got, of course, 2 races as always here at the DLine Racing League in their late model stock program. Let's jump right into the sim and talk about this one. This racetrack is always fun to race at as qualifying comes to a close at the National Motorsports Park located in virtual Lucama, North Carolina. Here's a look at the track map. It is very much a paperclip-esque mixing bowl. Think of a shorter cross between Bristol and Martinsville, and that's pretty much what you got here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Fastest lap for a NASCAR modified is a 12:028. Of course, those being the tour types. A sprint car, a 12.195. A late model stock car that was set by Ryan Kuhn, a 13.838. He even holds other lap records here, including in the street stock at a 15.141. Let's talk about points coming into this round. 4 races done, of course. That leaves 8 to go, including this evening. Here's a look at things as Zach Shucker brings us into this evening with the points lead by 2 over Brandon Webb. Dan Rowe, Sean O'Hara, David Levine, the next few. Kyle House with his heat win last time out at Phoenix jumps up to the 6th position. You see some new additions to this top 10. Of course, Kyle House and Addison Cook now in the 8th spot from the Atlantic Club. A couple of new club logos down there a little bit deeper in the top 10. Tyler Langenberg drops a couple of spots but stays in the top 10. Schreckengoss stayed right where he was in 9th. Tim George dropped just a little bit, but is still right in that big midfield fight, I guess mid-top 10 fight, if you will, with Sean O'Hara, David Levine, Kyle House, and Tim George, all only 7 points apart. And even if you want to throw in the 3 behind them, an extra 5 points back for Cook, Schreckengoss, and Langenberg. A look then at the schedule coming into this evening. Again, 4 races done. We'll call it 8 races even, since there's 2 races a night. But 4 rounds complete. This is round 5, June 20th, 2023. Next week, we head on out to Mid-Ohio. I was just talking with David Levine, actually, about some possible format changes for for Mid-Ohio next week. It should be a nice cut and dry format. I look forward to that one next week on the road course, the lone road course of the season before we head to North Wilkesboro in July, along with Martinsville, 5 Flags. New Hampshire is going to be interesting. I really am excited for that race. That is going to be one big racetrack for these cars, much like Phoenix was last time out. A big thank you, as always, to Elevator Performance bringing you this league this season. Qualifying coming to a close. Here's a look at the track temp. 84 degrees on track. 80.8 is also pretty warm in the air for a June day in virtual Lucama, North Carolina. It is definitely not 80 degrees in the air there currently. So we've got some storms widespread across the southeast, and of course, always stay weather aware, stay observant of what's going on around you in the skies, and make sure to stay safe as we've got some weather outbreaks these last few weeks and going into the rest of the summer. Good to have everybody here, as always. It is very fun to be here on a Tuesday night for the DLine Racing League. Race 1 gridding up. David Levine puts it on pole in qualifying. Let's take a look at your full starting grid. On pole, David Levine alongside Timothy George from Club West. Starting 3rd, you'll find Zach Shucker, the points leader. Brandon Webb will roll off 4th position. Sean O'Hara 6th, and Tyler Langenberg will be starting from our final transfer spot going into the heat. Starting 7th, Michael Della Sala. Brian Miller rolls off from the 8th spot. Spiro Poulos and Mitchell Richmeyer, that is row number 5. Scott Myers, Jeff Height, they make up row number 6. Joseph Tackett and Kevin O'Hara start from 13th and 14th as Jack Gunsit brings up the rear in position 15. Eddie Morin was out in the Discord chat a little while ago saying that he was going through some power outages, not able to make it this evening. Hopefully that is sorted out. I'm sure it will be by next week's race at Mid-Ohio, but hate that. Hopefully Eddie is able to watch as Heat 1 gets to the grid. Let's take a look at our Whiplash SimCams race details. 30-lap heat. That's what we're going into first off, of course. So top 6 invert will set the field for our 50-lap race to follow. There's a look overhead at the Southern National Motorsports Park. That 50-lap heat race, of course, 30-lap heat race or 50-lap feature, both subject to 3 green-white checkers and, of course, damage healing enabled here in the DLine Racing League. It's been fun this season. Unfortunately, Zach Burtis not able to join me for this one, but he would be fresh off of Victory Lane. Last time these guys were in action out at Phoenix Raceway, and that was a lot of fun, of course. As these guys prepare, it looks like just Tim George and Tyler Langenberg left to grid up. I see Tyler's there now, so just waiting on Tim George in the 00, and we should be rolling off and away. Now, these late model stock cars, they did have a bit of a bug when they first were updated. Following this build, that's been fixed. It had to do with tire treads. Thankfully, that is no longer an issue. We can even go to the nose of Jack Gunsett's machine and take a look at those tire treads ahead. No longer a problem, so we've gotten rid of the toolbox tires here for the late model stock cars as we get ready to roll off for heat race action. Cars are fired. David Levine rolls us off from pole position. He's got Tim George, Zach Shucker, Brandon Webb, and Sean O'Hara right behind. Even Tyler Langenberg, Michael De La Sala, Brian Miller, all guys who know each other, have seen each other at the racetrack plenty of times. It'll be fun to watch this top 8 go after it before Spiro Poulos and Mitchell Richmeyer make up row 5. This is going to be a fun one for sure. This is kind of a weird point in the season. We're getting into that kind of midfield, I guess, mid-season stretch where points really do matter. Consistency is ramped up, or it needs to be ramped up for these drivers anyways. As we're going to turn things over to the driver behind the 59 car, David Levine gets us going. Green flag this evening from Southern National Motorsports Park. Round 5 underway. One lap complete. Levine still out front. Side-by-side fight for the second spot. And that gets single file quick. Now Shucker gets in behind Tim George. Here comes Brandon Webb on the top side. Sean O'Hara dives it down inside the 20 car for 4th. And Sean O'Hara, fresh off a trip to France for Le Mans, fighting tooth and nail already with Brandon Webb. Contact there in turns 1 and 2. Bumps the 20 up the racetrack a bit. Here comes Tyler Langenberg looking for a spot. As now Brandon Webb is on his back foot. Couple of cars slow in the back, Richmeyer and Myers, as they will get it straightened out and keep on racing. Webb finally slides in behind O'Hara, and he's got an opportunity now down to the inside of the 18 car on board with car number 20. Oh, it's a good fight. Driver's eye view here on board with Brandon Webb. Sean O'Hara is still on the outside. And over to his on board as they cross the line here. Another lap complete. Laps click by pretty quick here at Southern National, inside of a half mile. Sean O'Hara outside still. Brandon Webb inside, contact there. Brandon's just barely going to hang on to the race car. Beautiful save for car 20. Gets in deep underneath the 91 of Langenberg. Here comes another spot. De La Sala down to the inside of our second place driver in the standings. And he's going to tip him. De La Sala gets turned around. Miller gets turned around. Caution flag on the front stretch. Brian Miller. Oh, man. Well, I was going to say it's a good thing there's no damage, or I guess damage enabled, or damage healing enabled, but Brian's stuck on his lid after one really bad rejoin. And Brian is still stuck that way. Gunset lends a hand. This could be a bit. This could take a while. There's Shucker trying to help him, and hey, that'll do it. Let's take a look at what happens here out of turn 4. We saw it live. Of course, Brandon Webb had his moment. So if we watch the 20 car, we'll pretty much see what happened. Michael De La Sala comes up underneath the 20 of Webb, who had a big issue there out of turn 2. Comes down, gets into De La Sala mid-corner, tips him around. Miller gets turned around by Spiro Poulos. And it all gets worse when Jack Gunset has nowhere to go and Brian Miller decides to back up across the racetrack. Here's a look at it one more time. From the onboard here of Jack Gunset following Kevin O'Hara. And Brian just goes straight up the racetrack. Thankfully, of course, damage healing enabled means these guys kind of get to reset and not have too much to worry about. Here's one more look at the entire mess on the front stretch. This, of course, following Brian Miller in car 26. Onto the front stretch, just gets tipped around by Spyro the Dragon, and kapow. Up in the air, flipping. I'm pretty surprised that car actually flipped like that. That was maybe slightly less realistic than to be expected, but glad the field was able to get Brian turned back over. David Levine hangs on to the race lead. Will double up this time by and send him racing next time. And David gonna choose the outside lane. Well, 13 laps will be complete this time by. Again, they click off pretty quick here at Southern National Motorsports Park. David Levine into the restart zone. Tim George inside. Green flag is back out here at Southern National. 27 to go. Sorry, 16 to go. 17 to go. One of those numbers. I'll get it right eventually. Timothy George down to the inside. Sean O'Hara, big restart in car 18. He fires the outside of the 00. Cars bobbling around, jockeying for position in the back. As we've got a side-by-side fight for the second position. George inside, O'Hara outside, Shucker on looking. Up the racetrack in center of the corner was the 00. Oh, and turned! Wow. Tim George hooked on the fence. Kevin O'Hara in trouble behind. That was all racing with Sean O'Hara. And boy, it's a good thing that pace car is non-collidable. Let's go back and look at this. This is fresh off the restart. We'll watch. Well, first we're going to see what happens here to Tim George. Racing with the 18. There's contact there in center of the corner. Tim had kind of just washed up a little bit. When down here in 3 and 4, I'm not sure who goes where, if Sean comes down or if Tim goes up. Nearly contact there on the backstretch, and Sean just hooks. Wow, that was a really big hit. Watch the onboard here, Tim George. That's slow-mo. That is a really quick stop. We did also have that incident further back for, was it? It was not Gunstead, it was actually, you see it there, Kevin O'Hara getting turned around. That is just the tail end of that crash. We'll watch one more time and see what happened here to these drivers in the back of the field. Richmeyer tips the 29 around and gets caught as Kevin O'Hara rather, nowhere to go. David Levine, it looks like staying on the, well, I was going to say staying on the inside, but that was not the choose for him. They'll come back around and take 10 to go when they do that. Now, under this caution period, while we have a moment, I was informed pre-race that we lost a member of our racing family's family. Zach Shucker going through a pretty tough time, and don't even want to go too far into it, but just want to have a moment of silence here as they pace around and get ready to take the green flag one more time. Zach Shucker, you are in our thoughts, and of course the entire Shucker family as well. Our condolences here from Pit Stop TV as we get ready to go back green. Inside of 10 to go, Jeff Height just slapped the outside wall to turn 4. Shucker is officially taken over second, Webb in third. Langenberg slides into fourth, crash! Joseph Tackett hooked around by the 24 of Height, and caution flies once more. Cautions do indeed breed cautions. We're seeing that this evening. Let's take a look here what happens to Tackett in the 3 car on the bottom side of the track. Comes up a little bit, not clear. So clear Jeff's name and all of that. Tackett then comes down the racetrack and Parks briefly in front of our camera. Nice of him to do so. And we have now got a problem for Kevin O'Hara that just happened under yellow. Comes up here, gets turned around by Jack Gunsit. This is under caution. Under caution here, watch this. So O'Hara is going to drive through on the bottom side of the racetrack and drives up. I'm not sure that was any kind of intentional contact, but O'Hara gets turned around and thankfully has now rejoined the pacing field, but it's certainly an odd moment for car 29. We'll have inside of 5 laps to go whenever these guys do go back green flag racing. A big shout out while we're under caution here to our partners with Pit Stop TV. Of course, big shout out first of all to Elevator Performance, Pat Cole, everybody over there performing, I'd say, potentially the most important jobs in all of racing, pit crew. Of course, keeps the world going round, but as well as our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Media SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business. David Levine back into the restart zone, getting these guys green flag once again. 3 laps to go at Southern National. A big look from Brandon Webb on the race leader. One around. Jeff Height, will they leave it green? No, caution flag. And Jeff Height in the 24 car wishes that hadn't happened. Of course, that's an easy statement to make. But we'll take a look here at what happened to the 24 car. Watch him here on the top side of the racetrack. Tries to get down alongside Brian Miller. I think maybe a misjudgment there from the 24. I don't think Brian really left the bottom side at all. We'll take a look at it from his perspective. It's the restart. Brian Miller stays low. Yeah, there's really nowhere Brian could have gone in that situation. Unfortunate for Jeff Height, that's for sure. This will send us into green-white checkered territory overtime, as we have often seen in the DLine Racing League. On to lap 31 of 33 now, which means we'll extend this race by 3 laps to get the entirety of it in. Of course, this is just the first of 2 races, and we haven't even begun talking about the transfer. Not the transfer, but the invert. There we go. The top 6 are inverted after this. Scott Myers currently in that 6th and final position. Green flag out once again. We are racing one more time in race number 1. Watch the invert positions back here in 5 and 6 as their leaders are side by side into turn 3. Levine on the inside, Webb outside. The best restart we've seen off the top side all night long. White flag is out, presented by Whiplash SimCams one more time around. The fight then for the invert. Brian Miller to the inside of Scott Myers, trying to get there to start first in race number 2. Meanwhile, Brandon Webb alongside the 59 of David Levine. Drag race to the line. Who gets it? I think it might have still been David, honestly. I don't know, as Brian Miller comes through, and it looks like finishes 6th. And, of course, that times us out pretty quick. Let's take a look at some replays. That is more than deserving of a couple of them. Great finish in race number 1, as we just saw. Let's take one more look at it. Watch the 59 of David Levine and the 20 here of Brandon Webb. Backstretch, white flag, last lap. Contact here in 3 ever so slightly, I think it was. A little bit of sparks up off the corner. Drag race, and oh, just barely did David hang on to that spot for the race win in race number 1, his first of the season. This is real close, coming to the line. This is one of only a few tracks that we don't have start-finish line cameras at, and I wish we had one for that. That was the perfect situation to use it. In the back, we had some great racing as well for the 6th position, the invert here for race number 2. Brian Miller, Scott Myers. Let's take a look at how this was decided. Miller on the inside in the 26, Myers on the outside in the 46, and Brian just dove deep there into turn 3. That is short track racing. That is how you get in there deep and move somebody up when you need a spot late in a race. That was actually pretty nicely executed by the 26 car, as there's some extracurricular there after the checkered, but that was really nicely done, actually, by the 26 car of Brian Miller. I'm sure that isn't appreciated by Scott Myers, but that is short track racing, ladies and gents. As we take a look at the racetrack here between races, I unfortunately don't have full results from race number 1, but we do have the race number 1 winner, David Levine, grabbing checkers just barely over Brandon Webb. David, how'd that one go for you behind the wheel?
It was a lot of fun. But yeah, like you said, just barely. I think you might have learned or watched a couple things on the 2 or 3 restarts prior, so I was trying to change things up a little bit on it. But yeah, it's always fun running with Brandon and Zach and Tim when he's not getting run over.
Yeah, there was finally a good restart for the outside lane, which means you couldn't just kind of power away. What do you do behind the wheel without giving away too much? What are you trying to do to get that good restart and clear second?
It depends for me. Again, I'm not going to give everything out. It depends for me on what exactly or who exactly I'm next to. Some people I know I can change it up once or twice and they'll have no clue what's coming on after that, or they'll fall for the same tricks every single time. So it's all about kind of who you're racing with or who you want to have starting either next to you or behind them. You know, you can play with second place by picking the outside or the inside depending on who's in third or fourth place, because we don't have the lane choice throughout the field, just on the front row. So it's kind of there's kind of some games that you want to play in there that can have some effects. I think I played those games pretty much right on the first couple restarts and nearly got it wrong on the last one. But Brandon's a hard charger and a heck of a driver, and he's gonna wheel it off in there.
And this is the first time we've seen you with this kind of performance in this series. Race 2 then going to be a lot more difficult for you coming from 6th place. How do you get through the field and get a second win and sweep the night like Brandon and Zach have done?
We'll see. I think it's going to be a little bit harder. Brian's fast, Tyler's fast, Spiro's fast and got some good racecraft. Zach and Brandon are Zach and Brandon, and they're 1-2 in the points I think right now. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think our 59 Berkshire Hathaway Old Mopar might be able to get it done.
And I was talking with you briefly before this broadcast. How about Mid-Ohio next week? Of course, a road course isn't quite the same as a third-mile short track, so running 30 and 50 laps, running 80 laps in a night. A little different when you go to a place like Mid-Ohio. What's the format for next week, or what can you spill so far?
Yeah, so next week, definitely looking forward to Mid-Ohio. That one's the one that I've got circled on the calendar. But we're probably going to go 20, 25, 30 laps, just kind of do see how long that goes. I'm leaning towards 25 or 30 laps, just straight racing. I think it should be a lot of fun. These cars are pretty wicked on a road course. They're a handful, but they got enough horsepower you can get in trouble, but they weirdly make enough downforce to kind of keep you on the racetrack in some spots there. And it's a super technical track, and you guys all know how much I love that place. So looking forward to it, and I hope that you guys here on Pit Stop TV get a good show out of it too.
Absolutely, we sure will. Congratulations for a dub in race 1. Go get another one in race 2.
I appreciate it, and make sure you say hey to the little one at home for me.
I'm sure he's watching right now, holding that Lightning McQueen blanket. Congratulations, we'll see you here in race 2.
Ka-chow.
I like that one, and we need some pressure out there, not only from the chat but from the league, to get David to run a Lightning McQueen paint scheme. I was saying for the All-Star race later in the season, I'm thinking the All-Star race should be a whole field of cars paint schemes, and guys out there watching, I think we could do it. Between cars 1, 2, and 3, I'm sure we can find some paint schemes to run out there. Of course, it's referencing my son, actually, who is a couple days shy of 5 months old. David Levine, not really a kid's guy, as he'll tell you, but has taken, I think, an affinity to him and bought him a Lightning McQueen blanket because he likes cars so much. The movie, of course. And I think we should have an all-star race full of cars paint schemes. I'm just saying, he watches these broadcasts. a little 5-month-old watches these broadcasts and enjoys you guys racing, I think the least we can do is get some cars paint schemes, and I can certainly help with that. But anyways, let's take a look at our starting grid for race number 2. Brian Miller wins the invert and will start from first position. This could be a really good opportunity for Brian. He's quick in the short run. He's aggressive. This might really help car 26. Spiropoulos rolls off from second place. Could help him as well. Tyler Langenberg, Zach Schucker, talking about an electric row number 2. Certainly, anything could happen there with the 91 car, and Schucker has been so good this season from 4th. He might be one to watch here off the start. Brandon Webb, David Levine, of course, top 2 in race 1. They start from 5th and 6th. Starting 7th, though, Michael De La Sala alongside Scott Myers, who lost the invert right there on the last lap. Sean O'Hara, Jack Gunsit, that is row number 5, just ahead of the final 5 cars. Richmeyer, George, then it looks like Height and Tackett, and finally Kevin O'Hara back of the field. 50 laps the distance here for race 2. Brian Miller on pole. We are underway once again in the DLine Racing League. Levine straight to the outside. Dives in underneath Zach Schucker. Poulos sideways after lap 1. 3 wide into turn 1. Schucker way to the outside. He falls back now. Nearly catches the door there. The 14 car of De La Sala trying to find a way by the 51. Down to the inside. De La Sala checks up. Smart racing from these drivers early. Aggressive, though, as Spiropoulos has really fallen off. But this now gives Langenberg a chance to try and get up there for the top spot. One car is still in the back. It is Sean O'Hara in the 18. No caution yet. Wow, that was a lot of words. Brian Miller out front leading. David Levine fastest that time as the field flies by us there in turn 2. Brandon Webb 3rd, Poulos settles into 5th, and Zach Schucker racing off of a laptop in Indiana, not at all in his usual setting. This is going to be difficult for him. Spiropoulos, purple, fastest on the racetrack, a 14.499. How about Spiro here? Ladies and gents, he's got something. That said, Schucker dives to the inside of the 51 car, moves Poulos out of the way. Now Langenberg has got company. Brandon Webb closing in. Sean O'Hara purple that time. Hello. Jack Gunsit racing here with Tim George. We'll see where Gunsit can get up to in this race. And Sean O'Hara is way back here in dead last, 15th position after everything that happened there on the start. Now racing with his father, Kevin O'Hara, rather, in the 29 car in 14th spot. Gunsit getting passed up now by Richmeyer. Here comes Myers to the inside of that 73 car. All while our leaders out front continue racing single file. 2 of them pound the fence. And that's a special thing about the D-Line Racing League. You can get the wall and keep on racing. You don't have to worry too much about it. Whereas traditionally in these cars, you pound the wall. You might be knocking the toe out. You might be hindering your car severely. You can use that fence up a little bit to try and get after that guy ahead of you, and I think that keeps these guys a little closer together. You can make a couple mistakes and be okay as 10 laps now are complete. And how about this drone angle? High above the speedway, take a look at your top 5 as they dive into each corner. Miller continuing to lead. I said this could be a really good opportunity for Brian. He's had a couple of aggressive moments for sure in this series so far this season, but an opportunity to start out ahead of the field and control this race might be everything he needs. We've seen track position be so important this season. This could really change things for Brian Miller. One car slow, De La Sala on the front stretch. No caution, we might get one though. Myers wadded up in the fence. Along with Jeff Height, yep, there we go, yellow flag. I thought we'd get one. Scott Myers sees everything happening ahead and tries to miss it. Gets caught up then with the 24 car. And wadded up in turn 1, right in front of the camera. I've been there for a couple of those short track incidents that just kind of happen right in front of you, end up in front of your camera perch. I've seen that a couple of times. It can be scary. Thankfully, our virtual camera ops, they don't have to worry about that. Any parts and pieces that fly off will just regenerate on the cars anyways, and Spiropoulos just tips the 14 of De La Sala, who comes up the racetrack a little bit trying to rejoin, and there you see the 46 and 24 getting together. Jeff Height nowhere to go. Really, he's the most innocent victim in all of this. Let's watch on board here with Jeff Height. And he was a ways behind Scott Myers to begin with. Rich Meyer there as well. Myers checked up and just came up the racetrack, and that's how it goes sometimes. Under caution, Brian Miller still the race leader. Langenberg second, Webb still third, then Levine, Shucker, and George now. Your top six, and a big shout out to this guy, Timothy George, from 12th to 6th position in that short green flag run. Tell you what, he has got that thing dialed in this evening. I know we're racing on a fixed setup, but he has clearly got something figured out to drive through the field like that. That is an impressive start to race number 2. Well, of course, after this evening, we mentioned a couple of times now, it is off to a road course. A look once again at the schedule. South Boston, Lakeland, Concord, or Phoenix have all come and gone. Southern National will do so as well this evening. Then it's Mid-Ohio, a week off for July 4th. Although we could say it's a week off for David Levine's birthday, since he'll still have a hangover that day. Mid-Ohio there, Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Five Flags, New Hampshire, New Smyrna, the All-Star race, Indianapolis, and Nashville to close the season out on August 29th. And of course, these are all subject to change. But that's the current look at things as we get ready to go racing one more time. Della Sala is currently being scored as first. I think he took one too many laps and is letting the field go by here. And the field will stay yellow one more time. Now, if you're looking for more both road course and late model action, we have got your fix. I know David has talked about it recently, taking a look at the Noble Can-Am series. I invite you late model stock guys here, even super late model guys, to sign up for this series. You can do so still. Well, these are the points, actually. We don't take a look at the schedule. If I can find the right graphic. Here we go. Road courses and late model stock cars. Miami, Lime Rock, Montreal, the Glen, Mid-Ohio, Mosport is... Oh, that's a messy restart. That is a messy restart. I think Brian Miller needs to be reprimanded for that one. That was a messy, messy restart. I don't like that one bit. Here's Brian Miller down into the restart zone. He checks him up here, onto the apron. He checks him up again. Does he check him up a third time? I think he might have. And everybody stacked up. I get it, but I think you're playing the game a little too hard at that point. Because you just wadded up 6 or 8 cars on the front stretch when that really didn't need to happen. One more look from turn 1. Everybody stacks up. You know, if you can fake a few guys out, say row 2 stacks up, you know, a few guys, whatever. You gamed them. But, you know, I gotta be honest. Taking off the broadcaster hat for just a half second here. If you crash half the field or more, just trying to game a restart, I think you might have done something wrong. And this is mostly unfortunate for Brian because he's now sent to the rear for causing that accident. So Brian having to let the entire field go by here, he's not going to be happy about this, right? Certainly I wouldn't be. But there was only one driver in control of that restart. Unfortunately, that driver is now at the rear. I hate this. I hate this for Brian. He had such a great opportunity, was leading the race. You can see he led every lap until that restart. Really unfortunate, but this gives a new opportunity, speaking of opportunities, to the 91 car. Tyler Langenberg out front into the restart zone. Let's fire him up. 26 laps to go here in race number 2. Langenberg and Webb leading the field. One lap complete, Langenberg out front. Here comes Shucker crashing the back. We stay green for our leaders for now, but this might come back in a second. Kevin O'Hara, Brian Miller, Michael Della Sala stacked up. The leaders are coming up on it. Let's see if the track is clear in time, and it is just Kevin O'Hara down low. The leader's coming up to it. Langenberg gives a door to the inside. Webb thought about taking it there in turn 1, backs out. As they come up on the slower car of Kevin O'Hara. This is going to be tricky. It always is for leaders trying to get by the first lap car. Levine out high in turn 1, trying to race Zach Shucker and Tim George. He's 4th spot. And there we go. Kevin O'Hara up to the top of the racetrack, lets these leaders go by. Down off of turn 4, though. Yeah, Brandon Webb giving him lots of space. It's just so tricky the first time the field comes up on a slower car. Everybody gets so timid, leaves so much room, though. Really close fight here now with Shucker and Levine. Even throw Tim George in that mix. Spiropoulos in 6th. As Kevin O'Hara gets lapped. And how about our leaders? Brandon Webb that time was real high off the corner. He's looking for something, though, here on Tyler Langenberg. We might have ourselves a really good race shaping up as they take 20 laps to go. That time by Brandon deep into turn 1. Langenberg still leading. 20 becomes 19 laps to go, and Zach Shucker has broken free of the lapped car of O'Hara. O'Hara now is actually falling back down with Jeff Height. Contact there, I think. And they sort it out for now. More contact, though, into turn 3. Sean O'Hara is going to pass and gives a shot there in the shorts. The 24 crash! Big crash on the front stretch. No caution yet. Let's hope it stays green. Langenberg racing. Contact there from the 20. Maybe Langenberg doesn't want to go green yet. Actually, he does because Webb backs out. And, oh, David Levine loses a spot. Tim George goes by, but here comes Webb. Back down to the inside of Langenberg. Contact ever so slightly in the center of the corner. Really good racing out front. Webb back down to the inside. 16 to go that time by. And where is Zach Shucker going to find a way through here? Look at the drive he's got out of turn 4. 3rd place. Looking to the inside of Brandon Webb. Needs this spot. Of course, Brandon outscored him in race 1, and Shucker had to get back out of there as Brandon shut the door. Coming close to 10 to go. That was 15, now 14 left. Your top 2 on screen, and when is Brandon Webb going to dive to the inside? Can you wait? That's the question. He did a great job these last couple of restarts that he's been 2nd, but if you keep waiting, you might have to restart from 2nd again if we get another yellow. Shucker now a challenge from Tim George down to the inside of turn 3. And oh, Langenberg was slow that time on exit. That bundled him back up. Shucker now an opportunity here on Brandon Webb. There was some roughing, there was some fighting last time out at Phoenix between these two. Not sure that's really on their minds right now, though, as they're racing for the win here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Round number 5, race number 2 of the evening. And we've got our top 7 all very close together, all the way back to Joseph Tackett. A career day for him so far. 10 laps to go that time by. Levine, a big move to the inside of Tim George right there. As you can see, our leader's coming back up on some lap traffic. 9 to go there. Webb, a high entry, trying to get a good run out. It's not going to work. Levine pops the fence after challenging Tim George and going nowhere. The 0-0, too good right now. Delasawa and Miller are fighting behind. These will be the first couple of cars our leaders come up on. As here they are to turn 2. Will be 7 to go this time by. The nose here of Zach Shucker. Really good look from the back end of Tyler Langenberg and what he's trying to do to defend from Brandon Webb. 6 laps to go. Tim George, he thought about, I think he was the inside of Shucker for a moment. No contact. This top 5 has been racing amazingly. Hopefully, these guys all give themselves a pat on the back after this one. As the Floridian, Tyler Langenberg tries to hang on. 5 laps to go. They're coming up on Brian Miller. It'll be 4 to go this time. And we've got a car slow in turn 1. Could this be a yellow? Gunstead holds. We're going to keep it green. Gunsit still backwards. In fact, now he's getting turned back around as our leaders go after it at turn 1. Turn 3, rather. George to the inside there of Shucker. The 48 up the racetrack. That might have helped him. He's got something here on Brandon Webb. The top side might be better all of a sudden. Shucker had something there. And now he's still got the 00 to the inside. 2 laps to go, this time by the flag stand. Side by side still for third are Shucker and George as Brandon Webb is still trying to find a way by that 91 car. The road racer, recently a college graduate, might get bumped out of the way. Contact there, and yes, Brandon Webb moves the 91. 1 lap to go, short track racing underway. Contact for the race lead. Tim George goes straight through. Webb gets turned. Levine takes a hit. And through turns 3 and 4, Tim George is going to victory lane at Southern National Motorsports Park. I said short track racing was underway, and boy was it. The rest of the field comes around. Levine drops all the way to 13th position. He's the real victim of all of that. Here's our race winner. Back around onto the backstretch. It was race 1 to remember for David. Race 2 to forget. Meanwhile, Tim George started 12th. Ends up the beneficiary of all of that. It ends up first when it's all said and done. Was as low as 13th from the drop of the green. What an up and down day for some of these guys, and that'll be one we have to go back and look at for sure. Some well-deserved burnouts here for Tim George. A sleeper pick. Goes on through to take the race win, but let's go back and take a look at what just occurred. There was certainly a lot happening. So Tim George... that was the checkers right there. So we've got to go even further back to find all of this on the white flag lap. Here it is. Langenberg had just been moved up by Brandon Webb, ends up making contact there. They all get wadded up. The only car that missed any of it, as Levine turns down in front of Sean O'Hara, the only car that missed any of it was the 00 of Tim George. We'll go a little further back. Watch this here to turn 3. Brandon Webb, actually that's a lap prior. It'll be this next time by. Brandon Webb, watch him contact with the 91 car here in turn 3. Watch this. This is a perfect short track racing bump and run, but Langenberg was not going to let it go unpunished. And certainly he did not. Here's turns 1 and 2. Gets back into Webb. I don't think that was intentional, but boy did it change this race as the 59 got turned in the fence hard. That was another really big hit this evening. And he ends up 13th when it's all said and done. Scott Myers comes by. I don't think Levine was a fan of that at all. Certainly shouldn't be. Here's the onboard for him as it all happens. He almost got through, almost had a chance. Ooh. Oh. Wow. Makes your top 3, by the way, Tim George, Tyler Langenberg, and Zach Shucker, who ends up being the one to tip the 59 car. Now, of course, let's take a look at it from the winner's perspective, Tim George, and what happens here. Of course, this is the lap coming to this. He had just fought through to 3rd place, racing with Shucker. Here's the contact into 3. That moves the 91 up the racetrack. And promptly, Tyler drops anchor, tries to get back in behind the 20. Contact there, and Tim simply drives away. That's how it happens. That is short track racing at its finest. A look here at the race results. Timothy George with the victory. Tyler Langenberg 2nd. Shucker 3rd. Spiro Poulos and Joseph Tackett, the rest of the top 5. How about that result for Tackett and for Poulos, for that matter? Both of those guys really good results when it's all said and done. Sean O'Hara 6th, Brandon Webb 7th. Scott Myers ends up 8th, Jeff Height and Michael De La Sala round out your top 10. Richmeyer, Miller, Levine, the rest of the lead lap as O'Hara ends up 2 laps down, or 1 lap down rather, and Gunsit ends up 5 laps down. 15 cars in all, for race number, well, both races this evening, and boy, there was drama for 30. Let's take a look. Well, actually, let's grab the race winner. I had to look for Tim George. Of course, 00, he was all the way at the top. It was just outside my screen. But Tim George goes to victory lane this evening. Maybe a little bit unprecedented based on how race 1 went for you, Tim, but you raced from 13th spot up to first. What happened there at the end from your perspective?
Yeah, it was just a hard-fought battle there at the front. It looked like Tyler tried to go for a move underneath Brandon, and Brandon just had no idea and ended up taking out the field, and I was able to turn underneath him and bring home the W.
Short track racing was certainly in effect there at the end, but it'll be a bit different next week when we go to Mid-Ohio. Any idea how these cars are going to race on a road course?
Yeah, actually, I did some testing before the season started with this car at Mid-Ohio, and it's a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Of course, this helps you big time for your season. There's been some ups and downs for sure through these first 5 rounds, and this kind of puts you back in the mix, I think, in the mid portion of the top 10. Are you really thinking about points at all, or is it really just go out there and have fun?
Main deal is have fun. Second deal is worry about points. Up to this point, I haven't even been thinking about them. I've just been going out there turning laps with my friends and having fun.
What it's all about. 1 lap led this evening. It's the final one. It's the one that matters. Congratulations, Tim. Drink a cold one.
Thank you, sir.
Tim George with a victory this evening at Southern National Motorsports Park. How about Tyler Langenberg? Nearly had it. Led a whole bunch of that race. And Tyler, it all came down to the final 2 laps. First of all, what happened there in turn 3? Coming to the white.
Brandon gave me a little nudge, which is fair, coming to the white. And then I just got into his bumper on accident. Didn't mean anything through it. Sorry, Brandon. But yeah, got a P2. Not the way I wanted to. Wanted to win there. I really like this track, considering I'm a road racer. But yeah, here we are, P2. I'll take it.
A road racer you are. We're going to a road course next week. The lone road course on the schedule. How do you feel from Mid-Ohio?
I actually gave these cars a try a month or 2 ago when it was announced that Mid-Ohio was on our calendar, and I tried it at a couple different road courses. It's a really good car on some of the road courses, so yeah, it's a good car in those.
And I'm sure it wouldn't take too much arm twisting for David to add more road courses. Are there any others you've checked out, ones that you might want to see on future schedules?
None I can remember off the top of my head. Like, I remember Mid-Ohio was a good one. I think I tried Coda. That one wasn't bad. I think I tried Daytona as well. I don't know how well that one would work. We'd probably have to use like the Moto layout or the NASCAR road course. I don't know, but it's a really good road course car. Even with like the baseline setup they have for iRacing.
Well, Tyler, we were almost talking to you as a race winner. Still, second place, not too bad. Congratulations on a really solid effort. Most laps led in race number 2. That's something you can go to bed with. Congrats. Hopefully we'll talk to you next time out at Mid-Ohio.
Yep. Thanks. I'm glad to not be doing barrel rolls on your broadcast anymore.
Yeah, that is much nicer to see all 4 wheels on the ground for the Pink 91. Congrats this evening. Hopefully we're talking to you next week.
Yeah, thanks.
Langenberg there in second. Solid run for him. And let's see. We are going to be getting Zach Shucker in a very interesting situation. Of course, condolences as mentioned. Zach, I know it's a tough time, but you made the best of it this evening. A really strong run for you. End up third when it's all said and done in race number 2. And really just a strong night overall, keeping these juices flowing as far as leading the point standings. How about this one here at Southern National? What happened behind the wheel?
Had to work for that one. Not on a normal setup for me, and was not comfortable in the seat with the wheels, with the pedals, but we just tried to stay clean and make do with what we could, and got lucky with a wreck there at the end to sneak by it, sort of, and end up P3. So pretty happy with that for everything going on.
Well, hey, I know the situation is in no way ideal. Certainly not one that you want to be in, but this kind of does show potential friends of the group. If they want to get into iRacing, it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot to join you guys on Monday and Tuesday evenings and whenever else you guys race. You did pretty solid here on an adverse setup, if you will. it doesn't take that much to get into it, to get started, right?
Nope. I honestly started on a 15-inch laptop with a 15-year-old steering wheel that had 0 feedback and 0 resistance in the pedals. Just learned to get smooth with that and manage tires, and then slowly evolve setup as situation allows.
Well, Zach, it was good to still have you in the field. Of course, I know a difficult situation for you this week. Our condolences here from Pit Stop TV, and hopefully we continue to see you in all of these races, a valued part of this series and this racing family. Good to have you still here.
Yep, and thank Pit Stop TV and Elevated Performance as well for allowing us to come out and do this.
Zach Shecker, 3rd place this evening in race number 2, started 4th. Means you were 3rd in the first race too, so P3 ain't too bad across the board this evening. We'll be talking to you next week in Ohio.
Yep, have a good night.
Zach Shecker, a very valued part of this racing family we have with the DLine Racing League, and we certainly send our condolences and thoughts and prayers out to their family. We've talked a lot about it. Mid-Ohio next up for this series. And we are going left turning and right turning next week with late model stock cars. We've been doing it on Sunday evenings for a couple of weeks now with the Noble Can-Am series. We have an idea of how it might go down. And I tell you what, these late model stock cars, they've got tons of grip and they are tons of fun on a road course. They're going to be sliding around a little bit, and that is fun. A big thank you to everybody here at the DLine Racing League, of course, Elevated Performance allowing us to be here, and a big shout out specifically to Pat Cole. Really do appreciate you. Let's take a look at our upcoming broadcast here on Pit Stop TV, and you can see we've got some road course and some dirt racing. No oval racing in sight for a week or so. As Thursday evening, we go to Sebring International Raceway with the North American Racing League. Porsche Cup cars at Sebring are always a fun combo. I had the pleasure of joining Porsche Esports Canada for a broadcast there a couple of months ago with Jake Sperry. And Kyle Heyer, thank you for that one, because I saw some of the best Porsche Cup racing I think I've ever seen. And we're going to see more of that Thursday evening as these guys race for a championship. It is still super close. I'm talking about single-digit points in the pro class, where it all matters the most. The biggest prizes, of course, go out to the pros. You've got to tune in Thursday evening, 8:30 Eastern, to check that one out. Going out to Sebring, Florida. It's a lot of fun. Monday evening, we wrap back around to Williams Grove Speedway for the Pro Dirt Late Model Series for Dirt Car and Race EPI. Williams Grove, a paper clip, difficult by nature. Going to be a lot of fun in the sun as we race into summer with those dirt pro late models. Then Tuesday evening, it's the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for you guys in the DLine Racing League, and a preview of what might be to come as well for the Noble Can-Am series. They'll be going there later in the summer. It's been a lot of fun as always, but that will, of course, do it for on-track action for us this evening. A big shout out once again to Elevated Performance and our partners here at the channel with Whiplash Media SimCams, ATVO and CC's Business, and of course those behind the scenes here at Pit Stop TV in audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. Myself, Andrew Cardinale, and everybody else at Pit Stop TV, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all next time, hopefully Thursday evening, for the North American Racing League from Sebring.